So we're going back to the book of Ezekiel today, and to the Throne Chariot. And so in Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 1, 1 and 1. Well, that's a good one too. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. And that came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of the Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. So the river of Chebar is in modern-day Iraq. And that's where that Ezekiel was among the captives by the river of Chebar. So the children of Israel had been taken captive, a bunch of them, and they had been moved to what is now modern-day Iraq. And verse 2, in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. So they were 5 years into captivity. Ezekiel and the Hebrews had been in captivity for 5 years. And so I think we sometimes have been in captivity in certain areas more than 5 years. 3, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest. Now he was a prophet, and his book is a prophetic book, but he was also a priest. That's where he had his start. Ezekiel came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And so he was 5 years into his captivity here, and the throne chariot appears to God. We had those verses last week. We went over that. When the throne chariot should have been in Jerusalem. And so that's where the Lord has put his name, and that's where the name of the Lord will be throughout eternity. And the new earth will be ruled and reigned from Jerusalem. That's where the name of the Lord is. And so you read about different Hebrew children in the Bible who they, like Daniel, for instance, prayed toward the temple 3 times a day. Now, what was so special about that building? Nothing other than the fact that the Lord's name was there. And so we don't pray towards a building or a temple or a church, but what that is teaching us is that they prayed towards the name of the Lord. And so they knew where the Lord's name was, and that was where they faced. And so when you're praying, you shouldn't have your face in all kinds of other things. You should stop what you're doing and put your mind where the name of the Lord is. And you will experience the throne chariot appear in your life more often. And so Elijah was the prophet Elijah in the early days of Israel. You'll remember him. He walked with the Lord, and Elisha was his protege. And so there came a time when it was Elijah's time to go home, and Elijah was taken by a fiery chariot. And so the Bible said he walked with the Lord, and then he was taken. And so that is the throne chariot. And so what a blessing for the Lord to come get you personally in his throne chariot to take you to heaven. And so they were in captivity had been there for 5 years, and the throne chariot out of Jerusalem, which the throne chariot dwelt in the temple in Jerusalem, and it left Jerusalem and came to captivity where that Ezekiel was. And so that should not have happened. And specifically in the Old Testament, the glory of the Lord should not a vision of it, but the real thing should have not left where the Lord had placed his name and come to modern-day Iraq there, into where the Hebrew children were being held captive by heathen, ungodly people. And so Ezekiel chapter 1 goes on to describe the throne chariot there that we read about last week, that I talked to you about last week. And then guess what comes after chapter 1? chapter 2. You're a good Bible student. And so when you come to chapter 2 in verse 1, Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 1, this is, let's start in 128, the last verse of chapter 1. Chapter 128, and the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. Chapter 1, verse 28. Chapter 1, verse 28. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. And that word brightness is Nogah. And so the Lord's Nogah brightness, the Lord's Nogah glory was surrounded that throne chariot. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, Kabod. So the center of his throne chariot, there was Kabod glory. And then off of that came a Nogah glory that surrounded the whole thing. And it appeared as the bow in the cloud, or what we call in modern day the rainbow. So when you see the rainbow, then that reminds you that God is in the middle, and his Kabod glory is coming out of his throne chariot of love. The Father's throne chariot is a chariot of love. And when I saw Nogah brightness surrounds the throne as the appearance of the rainbow. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. And so when he saw the Lord's throne chariot coming to him, he could do nothing but fall on his face. Chapter 2, verse 1. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. So the Lord commanded Ezekiel to stand up. He had fallen on his face at the side of the throne chariot, and then the Lord spoke to him and said, stand up. And so you don't see it recorded where Ezekiel stood up. How did he get up? Spirit of God entered him. I don't even have to do. I don't have to make any movement. All I have to do is accept the Lord's words. The Lord's words into my heart, and they immediately spring up and give fruit to what he's told me to do. Huh? That's it. That's all we can do. Verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel. Now look how he describes Israel. To a rebellious nation that hath rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. Now that's some kind of way to describe the church, isn't it? Because that's what it's teaching us. Israel was the religious elite. They had a grip on this God thing. And they knew exactly how it was supposed to go and exactly what you're supposed to do and exactly what had to happen to make you holy and on top of everybody else in the religious order. You shake your head, Mom? In amazement? Verse 4, I'm sorry. For they are impotent children. Impotent, that means stiff-hearted. When the Lord's words came to them, they didn't accept them. When the angel came to Mary and told her that the Holy Ghost was going to come upon her and she was going to give birth to a son, what was Mary's reaction? Be it unto me according to thy word. And guess what happened when she said that? In came the seed, in came the Spirit of God, and begin to grow and bring to birth in her life what he exactly. She just accepted it. Highly favored. She just accepted it. I don't know how am I going to do that? And what's Joseph going to think? And what's my daddy going to think? I'm talking about pregnant, but it's a virgin birth. Uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh. Just accepted it. What am I trying to tell you? Just accept it. Quit worrying about how it's going to work out. Quit worrying about how God's going to bring this to pass and what you're going to look like in the middle of it. If you accept God's word, do you care what anybody else thinks about it? For they are impotent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them. Let me tell you what kind of congregation you're going to get, Ezekiel. And thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord. Don't go down there with your words. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that they have been a prophet among them. They're impotent, they're stiff-hearted, they're rebellious. But after you tell them what I send you to tell them, they're going to know there was a prophet there, even in their stiff-hearted, rebellious condition. Talk about that right there, Bill. And moreover, that is what the religious church world is doing right now in our country. We're always looking down on another country, and we're always looking down on politicians. But what kind of shape is our church in? Didn't the Bible say judgment must begin at the house of God? 6. And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them. Ooh. Be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell amongst scorpions. Oh my. This church is full of briars and thorns, thorn bushes, and it's got scorpions sitting in the pews. Way bigger than I ever thought. And thou dost dwell among scorpions. Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. I think the Lord's convinced that they were a rebellious house. That's the third time he's described them that way. No. And thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. For they are most rebellious. Guess what? My people are rebellious. Well, watch out now. But thou, son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious like that rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat that I give thee. He said, I'm sending you to a rebellious people, and they're not going to hear you, but you hear me. See, the thing is, when you go into the middle of a group of people, whether that be a church or on the job or at school or in family or wherever, you go to a group of people, and if you're not careful, you will let their rebellion and their attitudes get off on you in a heartbeat, especially when they're displaying an attitude to you. And so when somebody displays an attitude to me, is the corrective thing for me to do to display it back? If somebody's got an attitude and I jump on them because of their attitude, that's going to make them want to get right? Kindness and love. puzzle pieces in. Early this week, the Lord took me one night, and I saw myself. It's like I was up here watching myself, and I was coming down the steps of the temple, the Millennium Temple, and the Lord had me by the arm. He had his arm through me, had me by the arm, and I was coming down through there. And there was people. This courtyard was just packed with people, and I knew He was coming down there to share my story. And so there's a lot of puzzle pieces being put in place. You can feel it. Absolutely. That's exactly where we live. I'm no longer looking for the signs of the times. I'm listening for the voice. That's exactly where it's going to start, and that's where it has been, and y'all are already experiencing that. But the Bible also said that what's done in secret is going to be shouted from the housetops, and that's talking about good things or bad things. Verse 8, he said, "And eat that I give thee." Verse 9, "And when I looked, behold, an hand was sent upon me, unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein." This hand comes to him, and of course in the old days they didn't have books bound like we do. It was a roll, a scroll. And this hand came to him and brought him this scroll. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe. And so the Lord told him, "You eat what I'm bringing you. It's going to be lamentations, mourning, and woe." Chapter 3. "Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest. Eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel." So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, "Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee." Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. It was a roll of lamentations, mourning, and woe. And it was sweet like honey to his mouth. Do you really love the Lord? If he gives you a message of lamentation and mourning and woe to take somebody, and he's telling you before you go, they're going to be rebellious and they're not going to hear it, but they're going to know there was a prophet there, is that sweet in your mouth? Usually not, Mom. Exactly. Because he knew God was going to redeem him. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. down to 4. And he said unto me, A son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. He's a slave. He's in captivity. And the Lord's telling him, go. Now, what kind of ruckus is that going to cause? For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech. I'm not sending you to a foreign country where they don't understand your speech. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange nation and of an hard language, but to the house of Israel. You're going to Hebrews, people that speak the same thing you do. Not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto me. If I sent you to somebody that spoke a different language from you, they would have accepted your witness. I'm sending you to a rebellious people that is stiff-necked. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are impotent and hard-hearted. They're not going to hearken. They're not going to hear you. They don't hear me, and so you're going to have a big time to get through to them.
That's just discouraging to think about. He's saying they're rebellious. I'm giving you what you got to say, but they're not going to listen. So, why are we saying this to me? Lord, I guess that's kind of witness.
And yet, the mourning, lamentations, and woe was sweet like honey to him.
Right.
Yes, Lord. That's what I want to do. I want to go be a failure. Please let me go. I sure ain't talking about that. Although you and Colson would love it. He shows him the throne chariot, and this is what's going to take him. This is what's going with him, and it's left his people and come to Chebar, River Chebar. And now he spends 2 chapters telling him, I'm sending you to people not going to hear you. So then in chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7, he gives Ezekiel the message to give to these heathens, to these hard-hearted, stiff-necked Hebrews, up through chapter 7. And then you come to chapter 8. Chapter 8. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, and the 5th day of the month, as I sat in mine house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord God fell upon me there. So chapter 8 is 1.5 years after he sees the throne chariot in the 5th year of captivity. A year and a half later, he's sitting here, and the elders of Judah are sitting in front of him. He's Ezekiel the priest. They're in captivity, and the elders of Judah are sitting here in front of him, and he's speaking and he's teaching and talking to the elders of Israel. And yes, this is captivity. That the hand of the Lord God fell upon me there, right in the middle of this meeting. The Lord came in and took over. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward fire, and from the loins even upward, as the appearance of the brightness, as an odor of amber. And so here he is speaking to the elders of Israel. I mean, the elders of Judah, not Israel. And then the throne chariot comes in again. This is a year and a half after the Lord has sent him the first experience with the years of the throne chariot. And he put forth the form of an hand, and took me by a lock of mine head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem. In the visions of God to Jerusalem. He didn't go in body, he's going in spirit. to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of image of jealousy, which provoketh the jealousy. And so the Lord came into this meeting and grabbed Ezekiel by the hair of his head and picked him up. And carried him back to Jerusalem in the spirit and showed him the very, how did he say it there? To the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north. The door of the inner gate. Now, he's not talking about the Old Testament tabernacle. He's not talking about the Mosaic tabernacle. He's talking about the first temple. So he's inside the inner court. He's not outside in the courtyard. He's inside the inner court. The Lord brings him inside the temple in Jerusalem. And what does he see there? Image of jealousy. Why is it an image of jealousy? It's an image of jealousy because the Lord's people are not sitting there worshiping Him. They've got a false god set up in the holy place of the temple. Rick said that's not good. That's not good. The image of jealousy. Yeah, they're green. They have moved a god into their temple and set it there. And let me tell you where the church world is guilty of that. They're mixing things of the world in the house of God in worship. And it's an image of jealousy. Why do you come? We come specifically and only for the reason of worshiping the Lord and hearing the voice of God. There's no other reason to be here. Nobody's keeping count. Nobody's keeping score. Tomorrow, you're probably not going to run into anybody that cares that you spent Sunday morning in church. In the very holy place of the first temple. And behold, the glory of the Lord the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw on the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, the image of jealousy in the entry. There's more than one false god set up in God's temple. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do? You see what they're doing? Even the great abominations that the house of Israel committed here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave my sanctuary. That's the reason the throne chariot came to Ezekiel in the land of captivity. God's people had false gods set up in the temple. He is not going to share his people. He's a jealous God for you. And that's the reason when we step off the path a little bit, here comes that hand. It's not that God's ugly and mean. It's that God loves you so much, He's not going to share His temple with another. And if you insist on dragging another God in there, He's going to leave the temple. You want that? Okay, you can have it. Don't want that. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do, even the great abomination that the house of Israel committeth here? That I should go far off from my sanctuary, but turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. Something greater than setting up a false idol in the holy place. Yeah, really. just told you. Bringing in something in our temple. And we come before the Lord to worship the Lord and get the day started right and do what's right. And yet the whole time, our hands reaching out there to our little God. Or if you're like me, food. You're praying, I'm thinking, has it been long enough since I've taken my pill that I can go eat my breakfast? So should I put my breakfast before I put the Lord's Word? You should just stay in bed a little. You should just stay in bed a little longer. Oh, yeah, it is. Greater abominations, verse 7. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Oh, my. Now, we're not talking about an image sitting out in the open in a holy place. We're talking about a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. Chapter 8, verse 8. Chapter 8, verse 9. And he said unto me, Go in and behold the wicked abominations they do here. Yes. Yes. It was with our pride, with our rebellion, with our deaf ears, with our favorite sin. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beast, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. So this is a picture of you walking into your subconscious. When you dream, and all them wild creatures are everywhere. All kinds of wild beasts and all kinds of unclean animals all over the walls inside. And what had the nation of Israel done? What do we do? We got this door into this secret place in our heart that nobody knows about. Nobody knows about that. And there's this little bitty hole. And we just cover the door up. Cover it over with our hardness, with our indifference. We got all this ugly stuff in here, and we just plaster over the door. That was God's temple. Guess what you are? (11) And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah, the son of Asaphan, which with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Now, what is the censer and the incense a picture of? Think about your testament, your tabernacle. Prayer. So there's 70 men, ancient men of Israel, the holy leaders, the Sanhedrin of Israel, and they're all inside here with this censer, and all this smoke is coming up. We're praying. We're in the house of God. We're praying. And yet there is multiple images, false idols that don't belong to God, and all over their walls is all kinds of wicked, unclean animals rolling around everywhere. I'm telling you what condition the church is in today's world. And I'm telling you what we look like in here. Yes. I'm one of the 70. There's only 69 on the equal plane with me here in this whole church. God, we're talking to me and you. No. Talking about in the church world. You're going through all these motions, and they got all this uncleanness. Whited sepulcher. Bones on the inside. And that's where Ezekiel ends up, is in the valley of dry bones. 12. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Look what the leaders are doing in the dark. Every man in the chambers of his imagery, where they say, the Lord seeth us not. The Lord hath not spoken. The Lord hath not forsaken. No, wait a minute, we do that. The Lord seeketh us not. The Lord hath forsaken the earth. The Lord's not here. I can do what I want. Did you know what you're doing? You're doing it in the face of God. And all he... Yes. And he don't want all this outward big expressions of all this, hi, I'm religious. I'm clean. I do 2 of these and 3 of those, and I go here, and I don't go there, and I don't like this group of people because they're ungodly. Did that get cleared? Yes. All he wants. Tell her again. Look, God doesn't want your perfection. You don't have any. He wants your heart. He knew before we knew. And still loves us. That's a lot of love, isn't it? How many people would you die for? But he's not finished yet. 13. And he said unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. We've been there, haven't we? No. 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Tammuz. Who's weeping? What? From where? From Israel, out of Judah. This is God's people sitting here at the door to the church, weeping for Tammuz. She was a Mesopotamian god of fertility and vegetation. Fertility and vegetation. A Mesopotamian god. And they're sitting there expressing their submission, their obedience to this God. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, talking about the holy place. The Holy of Holies, the very center. He brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple. Look here. And their faces towards the east, back to the temple, faces towards the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east. They're worshiping the sun that God has blessed us with. Yes. 17. Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here in my house? For they have filled the land with violence and have returned to provoke me to anger. Look here. And lo, they put the branch to their nose. And lo, they put the branch to their nose. Which was a heathen ritual that the heathens used to express disrespect and disdain to somebody. If you're saying something to me and I put the branch to my nose, that means I think that you're lost it. They got their back to the temple of God. They're worshiping the sun, and they've got this branch to their nose. Open disrespect to God in his house. Chapter 10. Verse 1. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them, as it were, a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And so, he is, in chapter 9, then, the Lord comes in, and there's 4 men appear before him, and one of them is clothed in linen. And he tells the other 3 to bring their instrument of slaughter, their sword for battle. And one of them's dressed in linen. And so in chapter 10, the one that's dressed in linen, the Lord tells him to get fire from between the cherubims. Remember how all the fire was inside the cherubims? So they go out and they begin to scatter this fire through Jerusalem. And there's one, this man in a linen. Let's see if I can find it. I'll just go here. The one dressed in linen, he tells the Lord tells him, he said, you go out and you put a mark in the head of everybody who is weeping and mourning over the condition of my house. And so the one dressed in linen has an inkhorn, and he goes out through Jerusalem and through the land, and everybody when he comes to somebody that he sees that they're sad about the condition of the people, he makes a mark in their forehead with this ink pen, quill pen. And then behind him comes the destroyers. And the only people that are spared is ones that are marked because they were sad about the condition of God's people. Exactly. See, I try to love everybody, but if they can't see what I'm telling them, well then, they can just go to you know where. Why does that not upset us that somebody's on their way to hell? You cannot make them choose God if that's their choice, but it should break our heart. What did she say?
I'm sorry I don't want to go there, please. She's got a lot of money. And I think it's like the thing you talk about it. I don't well, I mean, I understand that. Why would they not want to? But it's not much better. Less stress. And, all that. Yeah, but it's just that there's such a sad state of the
Don't even know.
They don't even know, and you have something to turn to.
What would I do if I didn't have what I have the way we live today? Jesus Christ never looked at a sick, diseased person that he didn't feel what? Compassion. And you can't do that unless that chair's paid. It needs paid with blood. Jesus never looked at a person. He never refused to reach out and help a person, to feed them, to heal them, to teach them. Not one time. Even Judas, the very night that he was going out to betray Jesus, Jesus got down on his knees and washed the man's feet. Jesus never looked at one person he didn't have compassion for. And in fact, he would look out on the multitudes and he would say, they're like sheep with no shepherd. What are people hearing in today's world? They can get online and read the news, or they can listen to mainstream media, or they can put their trust in a politician. You say something to them about the Bible, and they're like, well, I don't know about that. Sheep with no shepherd. Let me make it real clear. If the throne chariot's coming to us, he's withdrawn it from God's house. And what should that do to us? What position should that put us in? In fear on our face. Not fear because I'm scared he's going to hurt me, but fear and love and respect for him. You go and read the 10th chapter, it talks about how he withdraws from his house.